What if I told you that the most fundamental force you experience every single day, gravity, is not what you think it is? See, we're all taught that it's a pull, an attraction, but a pretty radical new theory, called the Sea, suggests we've had it completely backward this whole time. What if gravity is actually a push? Okay, so let's just start with the basics, right? Ask almost anyone what gravity is, and they'll tell you it's the force that pulls things toward each other. You know, Newton saw the apple fall, Einstein saw spacetime itself curve. It's all about attraction. It's a fundamental force of nature. Or is it? But what if that core idea, that whole concept of a pull, is just us misunderstanding a much deeper, much more mechanical process? What if we've only been seeing the effect and we've totally missed the real cause? That's the wild premise we're going to dig into today. So you might be asking, why do we even need a new theory? Well, because our current understanding of the universe has some major puzzles. You know, real scientific progress often happens when we start to see the cracks in our old models. And believe me, modern cosmology has some huge cracks. First, there's the whole mystery of dark matter, this invisible stuff that we think has to exist just to hold galaxies together, because they spin way too fast for the gravity of what we can actually see. Then you have the paradox of black hole singularities, where our own physics predicts that matter can collapse into a single point of infinite density, which, just doesn't make any physical sense. These are serious headaches for the current model. All right, section 2, what if space isn't empty? This is where the Sea theory comes in. It proposes a solution by changing our most basic assumption of all, that space is empty. What if it's not a void, but a substance? And this slide really highlights that fundamental shift. On one hand, you have Einstein's view. Space-time is like a geometric stage, kind of like a trampoline that matter warps. But in the Sea view, space itself is a physical fluid, a substance with actual properties we could measure, like density and pressure. And this substance is what's called the Sea. Just imagine it as this background superfluid that fills up every inch of space. And by superfluid, I mean a fluid with zero viscosity. It flows perfectly, without any friction at all. So space isn't empty, it's a dynamic medium. And that one simple change has massive physical consequences. Because if space is a fluid, well, then forces can be generated in a completely new way. And this brings us right to the absolute core of this whole idea. So the crucial point comes from some pretty simple fluid dynamics. A force is created by what's called a pressure gradient. In really simple terms, as you see here, things are always pushed from an area of higher pressure to an area of lower pressure. It's the exact same reason wind blows. So here's how it builds this completely new picture of gravity. 1, matter, like a planet, displaces the Sea fluid, creating a little dent in it. 2, this dent is now a zone of low pressure. 3, the surrounding high-pressure vacuum naturally pushes inward toward that low-pressure zone. And 4, that inward push is what we experience as gravity. It was never a pull at all. Okay, it's a pretty elegant idea, right? But the real test of any theory is whether it can actually solve those big cosmic puzzles we mentioned earlier. So let's see how push gravity holds up. First up, the rotation of galaxies. Remember, the stars on the outskirts are moving so incredibly fast that they should just fly off into space, unless there's a huge amount of extra invisible mass, what we call dark matter, pulling them back in. The difference in approach here is just stark. The standard theory has to invent an invisible halo of dark matter just to add some extra pull. But the Sea theory says, no, you don't need any of that. The large-scale pressure of the surrounding vacuum provides a completely natural inward push, holding the galaxy together without any need for some extra mysterious substance. Next up, let's tackle black holes and that strange idea of a singularity, a point of literally infinite density where all the known laws of physics just break down completely. It's a mathematical requirement in our current theory, but physically, it's just baffling. So the Sea theory offers a really clear physical alternative. With the standard theory, you have matter collapsing into this messy, infinitely dense singularity. But with the Sea view, the matter simply pushes the vacuum fluid completely out of the way, creating a clean physical void, a literal hole in the cosmos. No infinities, no broken physics. So when you put all of this together, it paints a completely new picture of our universe. It's not some static stage for actors to move around on. It's a dynamic, flowing ocean. I mean, the paradigm shift here is total. Gravity as attraction becomes gravity as pressure. Space-time as static geometry becomes space-time as fluid dynamics. The need for dark matter halos is just replaced by the structure of the vacuum itself. And those mathematical singularities are replaced by real physical density limits. It's a complete conceptual overhaul. This quote from the source material really just captures the whole essence of the idea perfectly. It suggests that Einstein's geometry was a brilliant mathematical description, like a perfect map, but it was missing the underlying physical substance, the actual territory. The Jarrow Sea theory is all about trying to restore that physical medium to our understanding of the cosmos. Which leaves us with this final, kind of mind-bending thought. If we are not just living in the universe, but we are actually swimming in a vast cosmic ocean with its own currents and its own flows, what does that mean for our destiny? If gravity is a push, not a pull, where is the universe ultimately pushing us?